this is Jitan and welcome to TradersTV. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about what is happening in the month of March. We're going to look back at previous trades, wins and losses, understand what we can learn from them, as well as understand what is happening with the potential risk announcements ahead throughout the month. Let's get started.
So what is happening in the month of March? Well, before we look at March, it's important to have a look at the big concepts and the big moves that happened in the month of Feb, because this is what traders will be asking questions on. So for example, we had the S&P 500, which is an index of the largest 500 stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange. And we've had a big turnaround after a huge sell-off we had here. We had the market find a bit of a base, okay, and eventually start to push higher. The key question on traders' minds is, will we see a continuation of this push to the upside? And it's the same questions people will ask themselves on the US dollar, because the US dollar as well has been in a big move to the downside. As you can see here, really not even for the month of January, even before that, December, and actually went into the middle of October and November, we've seen a steady decline in US dollar against the Japanese yen. So a lot of traders will be asking themselves the questions, what's next? Are we going to be seeing a continuation of this move to the downside, or are we going to be seeing a push higher to the upside? Okay, if we put this chart in particular in context, largely speaking, it has been ranging over a longer period of time. If we look at things like the euro against the US dollar, again, we've been in a nice, January saw some pretty decent moves to the upside here, which started in the middle of December. We've seen a run up, but we just recently, in the middle of February, we topped out at the high that was made at the beginning of the year. Okay, so this here was the high for 2018. And we've just kind of gone into that area in February and we failed to pass it. So a lot of traders will be asking themselves a question, what's in store for the euro? Are we going to break out to the upside here, or are we actually going to break out to the downside? So these are some of the key questions that traders will be asking themselves. And a lot of bigger traders may be looking at their technical levels, they may be using fundamental analysis. There's a lot of different ways to, of course, analyze markets. But if we look ahead at the calendar for the beginning of March and later in March, we start to see some interesting potential announcements popping up. So we can see here for the first week of March really sort of kicks off with a Fed Chair Powell testifying. And this is going to be an important one because this is the new Federal Reserve Chairman. The chairman used to be Janet Yellen, and now Powell has taken that spot. So a lot of traders will be interested to know what his views are on the Federal Reserve policy and whether they're going to be increasing interest rates or keeping interest rates or hold, or even decreasing interest rates, which the market is not expecting. So there's some key things here happening in the beginning of the month in March. And let's not forget as well, as much as there's a lot of US dollar news happening and a lot of traders are focused on the US dollar right now, there's also some big things happening in the British pound. So we have Prime Minister Theresa May outlaying her post-Brexit plans. So that is obviously going to have, or has the potential to have a big impact on the British pound. So just be careful if you're kind of in those positions when we move into these high risk news announcements. But later on in the month, we start to move into Federal Reserve Monetary Policy Committee meetings, the FOMC meeting minutes, the third week of January. That's going to be a big one for the US dollar. Again, as we just talked about, we've seen the US dollar here. We just looked at dollar yen, been in a big move to the downside. And the key question that traders will be asking is, are we going to see a continuation of that, or are we going to see some potential upside? So some of the biggest moves that we've been seeing in February, a lot of traders will be asking themselves a question if they're going to continue. Again, how they kind of determine that, combination of technical tools and fundamental news, perhaps. Some traders just use fundamental news announcements, some traders just use technical tools. Of course, we'll have to review at the end of the month and see what the month brings.
So now you know a little more on how we review our trades and how we plan ahead for the month's worth of trading. You may be interested to learn a little bit more about Learn to Trade. If you are, then click on the link below. I'll see you on the next video.